Is Gainesville, Georgia really the best hidden gem in all of Northeast Georgia, or is it just all hype? Let's jump in and talk about the pros and cons of why Gainesville may be like finding the golden goose's egg, or in this case, the chicken's egg, of why it is so great and so many people are moving to the area. My name is Winston Gibbs with the Living in Northeast Georgia channel, and I'm here to tell you everything there is to know about the lifestyle, the entertainment, the recreation, and the real estate from the metro Atlanta suburbs to Athens, Lake Hartwell, and everything in between, including Gainesville, and why it might be the best spot to move to. Make sure you hit the button to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can get all the updates when new videos release about what makes Northeast Georgia so special and what's going to be the best place for you if you're considering moving here. Let's jump into it. Gainesville, Georgia has seen an incredible increase in population in the last 5 to 10 years. There has been over a 25% increase in the population because of Gainesville's attractiveness, and there are a lot of pros that come with that. There are also some cons that come with that growth, and we're going to jump in and talk about those. I'm going to give you 5 pros, 3 cons on why Gainesville might be the best spot if you're considering relocating or moving within the area. We're going to start off with a pro, because I always like to start on a positive note. And you can't talk about Gainesville and some of the great things about it without talking about its location. Gainesville is one of the most conveniently located towns in the entire area. You see, it's only about 35, 40 minutes into downtown Atlanta, or you can get into some of the metro areas a lot sooner. You can also be in the North Georgia mountains in 35 to 45 minutes, and you can take a drive down to Athens in about an hour to catch the Dogs playing on Saturday or any of the other sporting events that it offers. All of these access points to these very desirable areas create a special place for Gainesville to sit right in the middle of. And that's where some of the growth's coming from. Go back and look at one of my last videos. There are major roadways that go through and around Gainesville with Interstate 995, which connects to Interstate 85 that goes to Atlanta and also goes up into South Carolina and North Carolina. You have Highway 129 that comes from Athens and takes you up through the mountains. So there's a really good cross section there. And if you're on the north side, Highway 400 goes down into Alpharetta and Milton areas, which are just outside the Atlanta area. So it just is super, super convenient from a location standpoint. And that has created a lot of desirability for people that want to have a small town feel, but maybe not be in the big city. With the access to the airport and all the things and all the amenities that Atlanta has to offer, you still have a proximity close enough to where you can enjoy a smaller town life feel, but then get everything you need within a short drive. But honestly, Gainesville, with its growth and the plans they have in place, has seen a lot of development to make it sustainable for the amount of growth that they've had. So the location is awesome for Gainesville. And as you know in real estate, location, location, location. And for this town, its location is one of the best features about it. For the first con, now with all this growth, and because for the longest time it was really and truly a small town, dating back to before the Revolutionary War, it doesn't have a lot of the transportation options that maybe a city like Atlanta does, or Nashville, or Charlotte, some of these other large cities, some of these other metropolitan areas. There is really a lack of any of that. So you're gonna need a car to get around. Depending on what part of town you're in, if you're in like the downtown area, it is walkable, but it's gonna be very difficult to get around without your own vehicle. Now, there are going to be all of your share ride services like your Ubers, your Lyfts, and they have taxis around, which can help you get somewhere if your car is out for a time period. But a car is essential to getting around Gainesville because it does have a rather large geographical footprint, and then some of the amenities that are around Gainesville and the surrounding county, you're gonna have to have that kind of vehicle to get there. So no public transportation is available, but it is a very easy city to get around with a vehicle. So although that is a con, there is a bright side. You're going to see that through much of Northeast Georgia. Now, for the second pro about the area is, you're going to hear me say this over and over, it has that small town feel, even though it has such great proximity to Atlanta and the large metro area. With this small town feel comes an incredible cost of living that you still get the benefits of. Even though the town has been growing rapidly, you still have, depending on what studies you see, an average cost of living that is anywhere from 4 to 8% less than national averages. And it's definitely a lot cheaper than the Atlanta metro areas. That is a huge plus because, like I said, you have all the amenities of Atlanta. You can get there super quickly, but you don't have to pay the prices. Everything from gas to rent to food, everything is going to be slightly cheaper in Gainesville than the metro area. That really helps give it that small town feel, small town charm. When we talk about this, also, that relates to the housing prices. The average house that is listed right now in Gainesville is listed for almost $700,000. But if you've seen any of the other videos that I've put out about Gainesville, the price is going to be raised because of the influence of Lake Lanier and the lake properties, people trying to sell their lake houses, maybe make a good lick on it depending on when they bought it. But if you really look over the last 6 months, the average sale price has been around $550,000. Again, that is still less than the average sales price in some of the metro Atlanta areas. Even with those sales prices, you got to keep in mind that the properties that have sold on the lake have pushed those numbers up. If you go look at the MLS and you do a search, there are so many houses for sale from that $300,000 to $500,000 range. A lot of really good options. Whether you want something older and smaller that's been remodeled, or you want to find something that you can fix up, or if you want a new construction community, because there are tons and tons of new construction options around the Gainesville area. So depending on what your needs are and your wants are, because it is very important to differentiate between the two of them. When I'm trying to help my buyers, it's, hey, what are your needs? Let's check off all the needs, and then we can get into the wants. And you're going to have a large variety there depending on what those needs and wants are, and also making sure we're consulting the right people, the right lenders, to make sure we stay fiscally responsible throughout the home purchase, because we don't want you to be house broke so you're not able to enjoy all of the benefits that Gainesville has to offer, which we will get into in just a second. Now, for our second con is we got to talk about the crime. When you start doing your research on crime rates, they are definitely higher in the Gainesville area than the state averages and the national averages. Some of them say that the small crime or petty crime rate is almost 30-40% higher than national averages, and then some of the elevated crime rates are 15 to 20% average higher. But there's a caveat to that. With all these housing developments, there's a ton of great areas around Gainesville that you can move to, you can be safe in, and you shouldn't have to worry about your children, or if you're retired or you're living by yourself, you shouldn't have those worries. Most of the places where you're going to see this crime are in areas that are a little bit higher poverty rates, or where there might be nightlife. Some of the things that you would think of where there's options for people to do dumb things, So just being smart, being reasonable, don't stay out too late, don't leave your car in a bad area, make sure you lock your stuff, and don't do anything dumb. Then you should be able to avoid any of the potential crime areas that are in and around the area. If you're looking specifically at housing, one of the things I recommend for people is to call the pizza delivery man. That guy or gal is going to be driving all over town. She's going to go in and out of neighborhoods. She's going to go to areas, and he's going to know if they feel safe in that area. That is an easy way to get a good feel for what an area is. And it may sound crazy, but I've had clients do it over the years. So I would not be concerned what the statistics say the crime rates are, because it is a great place to live. All right, so for our third pro, we got to talk about the economy in the Gainesville area. The economy is thriving in Gainesville. The town and the community with the city and the county chamber has created an economic plan that they are truly putting into action, and you can see the growth. I've been living in Northeast Georgia almost my entire life, and the boom that Gainesville has experienced relates directly back to what their government has done to create an environment for growth. They've made it very beneficial for big companies to come in. With some of the major employers in the area, such as Pilgrim's, who does chicken, you have Mars Wrigley, which does the gum and all other kinds of candies, King's Hawaiian, who does the breads and rolls, you have Kubota, which does heavy equipment. You have a lot of big industry, which creates a lot of really good jobs. Also, one of the other large employers in the area is the Northeast Georgia Medical Center. And that medical center is home to levels of healthcare from pediatrics up to the end of your life, and they have everything in between. So great options for surgeons, for nurses, for PAs, for therapists of different types. just a lot of good opportunity, and that is an unbelievable hub. And honestly, that is another pro if you want to make it a subset or a sixth one. Having a facility like that close to the downtown area with easy access is a huge benefit for people. So the Northeast Georgia Medical Center helps drive that economy, creates a ton of job opportunities. Now, also within this growth and development in the economy, they've got plans to help urbanize the area. You've seen some bigger buildings, you've seen developments, you've seen big businesses come in. You're going to see different strip malls, different restaurants, all kinds of development around the area. And so this leads to business owners, which are going to create and provide more jobs, whether that's franchise options or whether or not you're going to have sales options, or you have all your retail boutiques that are there for shopping and for dining. It just really is a awesome center for the economy. And you can see that in the economy and how connected the community is and all the different options that you have. So the economy is thriving there. I don't see it stopping at all. One of the other drivers of the economy, you can't talk about Gainesville without talking about Lake Lanier. It has created a huge tourism for a large part of the year. Because we have such great weather in Northeast Georgia, you can really enjoy the lake almost year round. Now, you may not want to get in the lake year round, but on some of those winter days, it may be nice. You could rent a boat or take a boat out and just cruise and enjoy a more mild winter day. And in the summertime, you're gonna be able to go to the parks and swim, fish, and sail and do all those different things. But with all that tourism, creates a lot of opportunity for the economy to thrive, and you have an influx of spending during those high traffic months, which are really from like April to September. With Lake Lanier, it also provides options for boat mechanics, boat sales, marinas, all those different things that come within the lake industry and the lake life, which is essential to the economy and the desirability of being in the Gainesville area. Now, for our third and final con, I mentioned pilgrims. If you've looked at any of my other videos or you've done any research on Gainesville, it is the poultry capital of the world. And there are plenty of businesses that have an affiliated with poultry. They manufacture, they package, they do all this stuff, and they send chicken and other poultry items throughout the world. It is truly an international spot for the poultry industry. There are also, chickens just don't grow on trees. You got to have chicken houses throughout the area. So there are a lot of chicken houses in and around the Gainesville area. And sometimes, whether those manufacturing plants are doing what they're doing, I've never been in one, but I'm sure there's some crazy stuff going in there, or you're driving through more of the countryside of Gainesville, you're going to get that poultry smell. Now, it's not the most pleasant smell, and when you're looking for your housing, you may want to keep that in the back of your mind, what your location is, so you don't have to deal with that, because it can be a very strong stench. But when I moved to Northeast Georgia, the town that I'm from, tons of chicken houses. One of my older brother's friends actually said that smells like money to him. And so with that big business, it is a huge part of the area and the economy, and it's going to help keep that place thriving. And that just may be something you need to deal with at different times. It's really not as bad as I may make it sound, but it is something you need to be aware of if you are in the area. So for our fourth pro for the area, we got to talk about education. With all of the growth that has happened in Gainesville over the last 10 years, there has been an increase in public school options. And then also with the post-secondary options, they have some really, really good schools for both of those areas. The Gainesville area is served actually by two school districts. There's the Gainesville City area, which has a few different schools in it. And then you have the Hall County. Because of Gainesville's footprint, it's going to touch, you're going to have the city options, and you're going to have the schools that are touching more of the counties on the outside. A lot of these schools like Gainesville, Chestatee, North Hall, East Hall, Johnson, they have really good college readiness scores. They have good AP options. There are tons of clubs. The graduation rates have been rising. So there's a lot of really good public school offerings. And I'm a sports guy, as you can see on the walls behind me. The sports are very competitive, and it's been a hub. College coaches are looking in the Gainesville area because there's so many great athletes coming out of there. And with the combination of academics and athletics, or whatever other hobbies your children may be interested in, great options. Now, maybe you don't want to go to public school. Maybe you prefer for your children to be in private school. Well, there are lots of good options right around the area as well. There's a military academy right in the area, because actually just north, which we'll talk about in a second, there is a ROTC branded college very close by. And then you also have the Lakeside Academy, which are really good options. And if you want to drive a little bit farther, maybe into the Gwinnett area, you have Hebron Christian. You can go down over towards the Bethlehem area. There's some other options for private schooling. So the secondary education, your high school options are really good. And a lot of those elementary and middle schools that feed them are going to have similar statistics and pathways up to those schools. Would highly recommend it. Now, for post-secondary education, whether you want to go the traditional college route or you want to go to trade schools, there are multiple options in the Gainesville area. The one that's going to come up first when you search anything about Gainesville is Brenau University. Brenau is a great school. I've had tons of friends go there for either education, they want to be an educator of some sort. You can go there for your business studies, or the biggest program, and probably the one they're most well known for, is their nursing program. And having that Northeast Georgia Medical Center there, and then quick access to all the major hospitals in the Gwinnett area or the Atlanta area, that school provides a great pathway for a lot of people to get a good education, have a good paying job coming out of there. And it is a fast track, and it's a feeder system to help bolster that community and the economy in Gainesville. Now, one of the other colleges, the University of North Georgia, has a campus in Gainesville. North Georgia, based in Dahlonega, about 30 to 45 minutes north of Gainesville, is a military school. They have an ROTC program. They have lots of other options as well, between business, education. You can go a lot of different tracks within North Georgia and that Gainesville campus. North Georgia has been growing. They have multiple campuses now, and it is a really good option. Again, really helps bolster the economy, creates a lot of jobs, whether or not if you're an educator or if you're looking to go there and find something in the community. Tons of great relationships professors in the schools have with some of these bigger companies around the Northeast Georgia area. Now, if you're not looking to go the traditional college route, they also have Lanier Tech, which is a great school for any of your trades. And with the construction industry, which I didn't mention in the economy, thriving in the area with new construction, there are also a lot of commercial development. And then with Atlanta right down the road, all the trades, plumbing, electrical, welding, heating and air, woodworking, carpentry, there are a ton of skills out there that people are starting, that are really getting a big push. And a lot of kids are going that way. You can go to school there for 1, 2, or 3 years, get your certificate, do internships while you're there, and come out and be making really good money. Maybe even better money than some of the kids that went through and got your traditional college route. It is a great option and a huge benefit for the Gainesville community. And maybe some of those folks that were in these industries and they had their businesses, they want to retire, they can go back and they can teach there and help raise the next generation of employees and business owners in the community. So the education is a huge plus in the Gainesville area. Creates jobs, feeds the economy for the next generation of the workforce. Now, the last thing, and probably one of the biggest pros of the Gainesville area, has got to be the small town feel with the big city amenities. Now, before I get into this, I will say there's like, I guess, a fourth con. I don't want to add another one, but with all the growth, it's going to be a little bit sporadic, a lot of construction. Sometimes it's going to be tough to get around with the traffic, but that is part of the growth of the city. And a lot of those things that are happening are creating a bigger city amenity feel and options for people that live in the town. But the small town charm is one of the best things about Gainesville. If you do a search about Gainesville, that's immediately what's going to come up. Small town feel, big city amenities. Whether or not you're looking at housing and you go on the north side above the lake, you can get a really rural feel. You can get multiple acres. You can have a little farm. You can feel like you're out in the country, and a short drive you'll be into the city. If you move closer to the downtown area, they have one of the coolest downtowns that I've been to in all of Northeast Georgia, and it's thriving. You go through there and you're gonna have awesome places to eat that are from small local chefs. You're gonna have tons of boutiques to go shop at. There's coffee shops, there's places to exercise. It is just a really thriving downtown area. And when you get on some of the outsides, you still have options for all of your bigger shopping needs. You know, you're gonna have your TJ Maxx's, your Lowe's, your Home Depots, Targets, Walmarts, Marshalls. They have a mall. It doesn't have quite as many options as like the Mall of Georgia or Lenox downtown in Atlanta, but it does have all those different things. So shopping, retail, all that, you have your small boutique style and you have your bigger chain places to go look at. Same thing goes for food. All the different dining options, if you name it, it's probably there. If you like Mexican food, I love Mexican food. There's a large Hispanic influence in the Gainesville area. And so there's tons of great places to go eat Mexican food. But if you want wings or you want pub food, they got breweries around. They have all kinds of patios to go enjoy where you can get live music while you eat. Awesome for date nights and just going and enjoying a really good cultural dining experience, which is one of my favorite things. Now, part of this small town feel, you may think there may not be a lot of entertainment, but there's tons of things to do in the Gainesville area that creates that lifestyle and the recreation that you want. There's parks all around Gainesville that you can enjoy. And with access to Lake Lanier, that is part of that lifestyle, entertainment, recreation. That can be fun for the kids or it can be fun for the adults. If you don't live on the lake, there's places where you can rent boats and you can go do things on the lake to enjoy some of those major holidays or beautiful weekends or one of the very warm days to go hang out right now. I would love to go jump in the lake. Also, talking about things to do for the kids, there's the Ink Center, which is an interactive neighborhood where kids can really get in and feel and experiment and learn, which is great for kids. There's nature centers. There's Georgia History Museum, where you can learn about the impact of Gainesville throughout the centuries and the importance of it to the Northeast Georgia area. Say you're a rabid sports fan and you want to go watch the Falcons play. I know they haven't been the best lately, but the Falcons practice facility is a short, like 15-minute drive from downtown Gainesville into the Flowery Branch area, which is still in Hall County. You can go watch the Falcons practice for free. How cool is that? Talking about the downtown, they are very part of this economic development they've been really pushing. They want to keep the sense of community, and they have multiple festivals throughout the year. There's a food truck Friday, I think every other Friday. They have the Christmas on Green Street, which is downtown, a huge parade and festival. They have the Spring Chicken Festival. Obviously, you got to celebrate chickens in Gainesville. It's a huge part of it. But their biggest festival is Mule Camp, which is what the original name of Gainesville was. It was Mule Camp when the settlers came. That brings over 70,000 people to the area. I guess it combines with the town, but that's a huge festival where you're going to have food trucks and you're going to have tents and you're going to have people set up selling things. You can just go enjoy. It is an awesome event, and they're always doing things. The community really comes together and makes it a special place for you to enjoy. And then lastly, I've already talked about the lake, and y'all know I'm a golf guy. There's great options to go play golf if that's your thing. You have the Chattahoochee Country Club, which is also a beautiful area for real estate. You have Royal Lakes, which is close. You have Chicopee Woods, about 30 minutes away. You have Chateau Alon, which in itself is its own experience with the wineries and the spa and all that. So tons of great golf options to get out and enjoy. And I know I said lastly, but I was talking about walking and it triggered it. I did mention the park, but there's two different parks that have multiple miles of places to go walk, enjoy the scenery, especially in the fall. It's so beautiful with the leaves falling, or the spring you get out, the flowers are starting to bloom, the birds are chirping. Miles and miles at the Don Carter State Park and one of the other parks around the Gainesville area. So it really is a great place to be. Now, I said I was going to give you 5 pros and 3 cons, and I did, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but there's so many other benefits that makes Gainesville special. That's just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to know more about it, give me a call, click the link, schedule something. We can talk about Gainesville and see if it might be the next place for you. It truly is like the golden egg, the hidden gem of Northeast Georgia. And it's only getting better. I don't see Gainesville going anywhere. My name's Winston Gibbs with the Living in Northeast Georgia channel. I'm here to tell you everything about the lifestyle, the entertainment, the recreation, and the real estate in Northeast Georgia, one of the best places in the entire world. Make sure you hit the button to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, as I have more videos releasing about what makes Northeast Georgia special. Whether you want to be in the Atlanta suburbs, you want to be in dog country in Athens, or you want to go up and enjoy one of the multiple lakes like Lake Lanier or Lake Hartwell, or if Gainesville is the spot for you. I'll see you in the next video, and if you got questions, don't hesitate to reach out.